Hello, it's Oksana, and today I wanted to tell you about wire wrapping. I'm so excited because this has been such a huge hobby of mine recently. I've just gotten really into it. So this isn't going to be a tutorial or anything like that. This is just going to be about how I got into wire wrapping. I'm going to show you some things that I've made. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about like the things that you would need if you wanted to try it yourself. I do plan on having some tutorials in the future, not necessarily on like a whole finished product, just because I'm new to it. It takes me a while to make these, but on different aspects of them, like how to make this kind of wrap that you can then incorporate into whatever you decide to make with it, kind of thing. So I started out with, let me show you here which one I made first. I can't remember. This one. This is the very first pendant that I made, and it is a light pendant. I basically went online and looked up wire wrapping. Etsy is a great place for lots of examples to get inspired and get ideas. And this is a really nice stone that I liked. But the inclusions, light is like clear quartz with little inclusions in it. And there's a part where it just kind of, it looks like a scratch. It's not really a scratch. It's just the way the stone is. It just has like this line. And I wanted to cover it up, so that's why I made this little wire to kind of cover it up a little bit and make a pendant out of it. So this is the very first thing that I made. And then, I can't remember the exact order here, but I got into, actually the very first stone that I bought was a labradorite. Then I bought some more, and this time around I bought some just beads, so I had to wire wrap them to turn them into pendants. And I am just obsessed with labradorite. This is a pendant that I made that is pretty basic. Again, that same exact little wrap that was used on that other pendant there, where you got 2 wires, as you can see, and then there's like a little wire going around, both of the bigger wires. I'm gonna have a tutorial on just how to do this, and then you can use this, in any kind of manner that you want. And then this, I just saw a tutorial on, I think it was called like bezel pendant or something, a tutorial on YouTube, and I used that as the basis for this pendant. I actually changed it up a little bit by getting this kind of fancy wire that's 2 little wires twisted together to use on this part. And then instead of you have this, you make these little loops here, and you have that on the back as well. And I decided to add this little wire in between as well to give it a little bit of thickness, since this is a thicker bead. And here's where you can tell that this is one of the very first ones I made, because the back of it looks all wonky. I just tried to make it so that the bead doesn't fall out or anything. And this is that pendant, and let me show you the shine of the stone, just because I'm obsessed with this stone. Look at that. Oh, love it. And then I made a few other things. I really love this stone. This is a light stone, and I don't necessarily love the way that this pendant came out. So I have not decided whether I'm going to just remove the stone from it and do something else with it. I'm not sure. Some of these pendants I'm going to sell. Some of them I've already sold. I have to, send them to the people that have bought them. It's not something that I'm doing, like I'm not planning on starting like a little business doing this or opening up a little Etsy shop or anything. I'm not saying that I definitely won't do this. Maybe if I have, a huge backlog, I might open an Etsy shop just to be able to sell them. But right now I'm just trying to just kind of sell to, I don't know, friends and family. I post it on Instagram, things like that, on Facebook. So that's kind of how I'm going about it right now. I don't plan on doing this large scale. It's more like to support my hobby. I'm going to make things for myself, but then also I'll have some extras naturally, either things that didn't turn out how I planned. Or maybe I have several of the same stone and I make a couple of pendants. Some of them I sell, you know, some I keep for myself, something like that. Because it's an expensive hobby. Since you need a lot of things to be able to do it. I thought that's what I would do, is sell some of these things. And then I made this little egg nest pendant with some Larimar stones. And I just think it's so cute. Absolutely love this. It is a pretty good beginner project. There's a lot of tutorials on how to make these little nests. It's a little bit of a time-consuming thing, and you do have to have some patience with it to get a really, you know, nice looking nest. It takes some time, but I really think that this is just adorable, the way the little nests look. And I have some garnet that I wasn't sure how to make a pendant out of, so I made another nest. This, I don't necessarily like the way it looks. Like, that one looks like a real nest, and this just looks kind of weird, like just huge, almost like black colored eggs. Like, it looks, you know, not really real. But I just wanted a way to incorporate some garnet into a pendant, and this is what I came up with. So this is another thing I made, and I actually made a whole bunch of nests to sell as well. So let me show you the ones that I've made for that. All different colored wires. So, and some of the stones, there is tree agate is the green stone, turquoise howlite is the lighter stone that you see. But basically I just made a whole bunch of these little nests, and a few other things I made. So something that I tried is hammering the wire. You can literally just take a hammer to it and it flattens it up nicely. As you can see here, this wire looks flat. Also, this wire was brown. It was coated with a brown color, but it is a copper wire. So what happens when you hammer it is the color starts to peel off as the wire gets flat. So then I took a nail file and I just kind of filed it down even more. So there's just little specks of the brown paint remaining, and it kind of gives it a rustic look. And that is what I made there. And then I tried to incorporate some beads. That's something that I really like now that I've done it, into the wire wrapping. So here's one that I made to sell that incorporates some little beads into it as well. This is a druzy agate bead, the large one I mean. And here's one that I made that is just a little, what is that called? Just a bail. I only made the bail part. Again, little beads. I put little beads on it, and that's all it is. It's just this little top part. So you can do so much with wire wrapping, you know, from just something little to something big. I love how flexible it is. Also, you can use beads, like gemstone beads, or as this, and in the case with this, this is actually just a polished stone. It's not a bead, so kind of like a basket type thing for the stone to go in. And this is green aventurine. And here's another hammered wire piece. I started incorporating some chain and kind of playing around with dangly things. So if you follow me on Instagram, I post pictures of pretty much everything I make there, if you're interested. But this is one I made to sell, and I really love little chains like this. I like the way that this came out. So I'll probably make more. I have more of these green aventurine beads, so I'm gonna play around and see what else I can make with it. I hammered, as you can see, these are little flat looking spirals there, so some more hammering at work. And then I bought these beautiful stones, which I really enjoyed, that are called, let me remember, they're called Dragon Veins Agate. And here's what the stone looks like. It's got like these little veins going through it. And this pendant I made is kind of a dream catcher inspired pendant. You can see in the stone, actually, it can kind of move in here. And then I used small little wires to make this part. So this one I'm going to sell, and this next one I'm going to sell as well. This is the same stone, and I hammered some of these wires. I used some of the chain in here, and I also got these little, I don't know how well you can see these little rings. I have them here, and I have them kind of random places on the side as well. I don't really know what they're called officially, like just little rings that you can kind of open and close and make little things out of them. So I incorporated that into this pendant to try to make something a little different, a little bit kind of like medieval looking inspired. So that is this one. And actually pretty much all of these ones are ones that I'm selling. The ones that I'm going to show you next, the ones that I made for myself, are like the labradorite ones, that little Larimar nest that I showed you, and this one I made for myself as well. I'm super excited about. This is a Sunstone, and I was just super excited about this because it took me like a million years to make this, and I really like the way that it came out. And if you're curious, because I really was, like, what does the back of these things look like? You know, that's something that nobody ever shows you on Etsy. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold. But that's something that I've been really curious about. And so here's what the back of that looks like. Basically, I mean, I don't know what other people's looks like, but what you try to do is you have all these extra wires coming out the back, and you just try to twist them in some way so they're not pointed or sharp, and so they're kind of out of your way, and so it doesn't look too horrible back there. So that's how that works. And this is a little Sunstone. And the Sunstone was a teardrop shaped bead that came in a string of 4. So I made this one for myself, and then I made 3 more to sell. This is the first one that I made. As you can see, the stones vary so much. Some of them are lighter, some of them are darker, even though they're the same stone. But here's what this one looks like. Here's the back of that. And then these 2 I already sold, but they are gold ones. Here's what that one looks like. Here's the back of it. Just has a wire going across. And then here is this one. Here's the back of it. And as you can see here, see the weaving pattern right here? It's 4 copper wires, and then I have a thin gold wire weaving around it to make this pattern. And same here, this is 3 copper wires, and I have a little gold wire going across. So I am going to have a tutorial on that coming up if you're interested, on how to do that, not how to like make this pendant, but then, you know, once you do this, you can use it in whatever manner you want. But these take me so long to make because I'm just like messing around with them and changing things as I go. I don't necessarily have like a set idea. Sometimes I have a little bit of an idea, like, you know, I really liked this little weave and I made, you know, a piece of it, and then I tried to figure out a way to kind of get it around the stone and what to do with all the little extra wires that were left. And that's kind of how I go about it, to be honest with you. I'm sure that more professional people go about it. They know exactly what they're doing from beginning to end. But this is the most recent one I made. I got a few of these labradorite. They're not beads, they're cabochons, so they're actually not drilled. And this is a rose gold wire. I don't know how well you can see that, but you can see the style of these is very similar. These recent few, I've been really liking this style. So this one I sold to a friend of mine actually. And then I have a few more labradorite cabochons that I still have to make something out of. But this is another one that I made that I am selling that is just a really, really pretty stone. It's got a really nice shine to it. And the back of it, is so pretty. So I thought, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Of making it kind of a double-sided one. So I tried to make the back of it look nice so you can wear it, you know, either way. And this is another labradorite. This came in a set. I actually bought it off of Etsy, just a whole bunch of these little labradorite stones. And so this is another thing I made. I wanted to make this in the same style as this very first one I made for myself because I really, really like this. And so I thought maybe if I made something similar, you know, people would want something like that. So this is one that I made and I really love. Look at that streak of color going across. I just thought that was so cool. And here's what that looks like. It uses that same like little fancy wire, very similar to my other one. Here's the back of it. So there's that, and then the last one, this is actually one of the first ones I made, but I'm showing it last. This is another Dragon Veins agate, and I just figured out how to do this little wrap. I can do a tutorial on it as well to make your wires look like this with the little bumps, and I thought, oh, that kind of looks like a, I don't know, like a serpent or something, the way this wire came out. So I think it's fitting to go in the Dragon Veins agate, and I just made this little pendant here. Here's the back of it, by the way. So that is the last one I have to show you, and a little bit about wire wrapping. I've made quite a few things here, huh? So if you are wanting to get into it, you are going to definitely need some tools. The first thing I got was a little set of, I don't have them all, one of them my daughter was playing with and now we can't find it. It was really cheap, it was like $6.95 or something, and there's all these coupons that Michael's always has, and that is what I got the set from. It came with 4 little tools. So there's pliers that cut, there's actually maybe just 3 tools. There's these flat nose pliers just for bending and stuff, and there's these round ones. Yeah, there's only 3 tools. The round ones are used for making all the loops and things like that. And then kind of as I progressed in making this stuff, I ended up buying some better tools. So these are some better round nose pliers. They're just bigger and taller, and so you have a little bit more flexibility. You can make the loops a little wider if you go all the way down here, so just a little easier to work with. And then these are just like the flat nose pliers, but they're bent, so just a little easier getting into the fine little places because they're, the way that they're bent has a little bit of a fine tip to it. So that's that. And then these are really, really handy. These are called Nylon pliers, and as you can see, instead of metal, they have this plastic white bit here, and this is super useful for when you have wire that gets all like bent and twisted like this and it's not perfectly straight anymore, which happens all the time when you're working with it. You know, you just bend it wrong accidentally, or as you're pulling it through and gets a kink in it, and that's it. So these, the way they work is you just pull the wire through them and it straightens it right out and takes out all of the kinks. So like the most useful tool ever out of all of these. And then of course you need some wire. There's all kinds of wire that you can get. I have so much of all different colors in here that I've kind of acquired as I've been making these. Oh, you know what I forgot to show you? This is in a little baggie I'm going to send to someone that I sold it to a family member actually. This is a Petersite pendant. I like how this one came out. I thought it was really cute. So let me tell you a little bit about the size of the wires. So for the thicker wires that make up the base Like you can see these black wires, they're the thick wires, and then there's a thinner kind of charcoal colored wire that wraps around all the black wires. So I like to use 20 gauge wires for the thicker ones, and then for the thinner ones, this gray one or charcoal one is a 26 gauge, but you can also use a 28 gauge. It's just harder to find in lots of different colors. It's easier to find 26. So 28 I did find in a gold color and also a rose gold color, which is what you see here. So the base wires, these larger wires that you see here, and they're all throughout, you know, here, that's the 20 gauge, and then the thinner one that I used to do all the design and wrapping, that is the 28 gauge. And I think it's, I mean, you could tell it's a little thinner versus a 26, but it's pretty similar effect. So those are the gauges that I'm used to working with. There is also a even thicker one. So the less the number, the thicker the wire is. So like 20 is a smaller number than 26 or 28. So it's going to be a thicker wire. I have some wire here that is really thick. It is 16. You can see it is a really thick wire. So if you wanted to make just like a really thick base, I guess a really sturdy thick base, this is what I used when I make this. I hammered it, so that's why this, you know, came out as thick as it did. I think yes, I definitely did use it on this one as well. So those are the wires that I've worked with. They're, for the most part, I think that they're all copper, and they're just colored with various, you know, colors to make them what they are. That's why they're not all copper colored. I also just recently ordered some copper wire from eBay. All of these are coated to resist tarnish, and I ordered just some raw copper wire on eBay because I want to try making something out of it and then oxidizing it, because if you've ever seen, you know, oxidized copper wire wrap jewelry, it just looks really cool. It just looks all like tarnished and old, and I really like the way it looks. So that's something I want to experiment with a little bit, and that's it. So I just basically wanted to show you all the things that I've made, kind of, I don't know, talk a little bit about it in case you're into it too. And hopefully this was helpful to you. I will have tutorials coming up on, you know, some of these wrapping or weaving, I don't know what it's called, techniques, because I've never taken a class or anything. I've just been watching tutorials, looking at jewelry and trying to figure out, you know, how did they make it just by looking at it, like on Etsy and stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.